Hello everyone, Ryan here. So I finally sat down and listened to Marilyn Manson's latest album. It is of course titled Heaven Upside Down, and it was released this month, October 6th of 2017, obviously. So I'm just gonna give the track listing, and then I'll talk about 5 of my favorites, and then also maybe a couple other stuff that I liked on it. So first track, number 1, is titled Revelation number 12. Second track is titled Tattooed in Reverse. The third track is titled We Know Where You Fucking Live. Fourth is titled Say 10. Fifth is titled Kill For Me. Sixth track is titled Saturnalia. Seventh track is titled Jesus Crisis, and it's spelled with $signs instead of S's. Track number 8 is titled Blood Honey. Track number 10 is Heaven Upside Down, the title track. And the last track, number 10, is titled Threats of Romance. So I'll go ahead and talk about 5 of my favorites from this album. My 5th favorite is definitely got to be Jesus Crisis. I don't really, as far as like the actual music goes, like the drums and the guitar work on this song are decent. And the lyrics are decent. Nothing really too fantastic, I suppose, but except for the fact that, there's the play on words. I mostly like the play on words, I guess, especially when he mentions, he just says Jesus Crisis, like I am a Jesus Crisis or something along those lines. I'm like a Jesus Crisis. And yeah, I just mostly like the play on words. So that's my 5th favorite. My 4th favorite is the title track, Heaven Upside Down. Really, I guess, again, this one mostly for the lyrical content. My 3rd favorite is Threats of Romance. And I mostly like this one because of the guitar work. I also like that this song has a very bluesy kind of vibe to it. It also has a pretty interesting piano part. I believe it's the first time I've heard like a very noticeably clean kind of piano track on a Marilyn Manson song. And I actually like it. Actually, I definitely enjoyed it. So my 2nd favorite is Saturnalia. And aside from the song, what I do know about Saturnalia is that it was some kind of celebration or something that, of course, thousands of years ago, something that people observed and or celebrated, back before there was any kind of agreed upon holiday during the winter solstice. But as far as the song is concerned, I definitely like it. Mostly, again, I like the lyrical content. Also, there was one, I guess, one piece of the lyrics that stood out to me the most, which I found to be pretty poetic. Essentially, it goes something along the lines of, it starts with, we're blinded by blackness, just empty shells, in the deafening void of our last sunset. So, yeah, that's my favorite part of the lyrics for that song, for Saturnalia. And then, of course, my absolute favorite, my number one favorite off this album is Say 10. And of course I did already review this song and as well as the music video that goes along with it. I'll provide a link to that if you want to check that out. But yeah, mostly for me, this song stands out the most on this entire album. And also I like that, to me, it sounds like the song that is, I guess, kind of harkens back to Marilyn Manson's old stuff. Like, especially, it reminds me of the kind of stuff I was used to hearing from him when I first started listening to him. You know, the kind of the songs that he wrote and recorded ended up comprising his first and second albums. So it definitely reminds me of that. But also too, I like that this one also has play on words as well. Such as there's one part where he mentions the line cocaine and Abel, you know, instead of Cain and Abel. And then also too, the chorus is catchy, in which he just repeats, you know, you say God, I say Satan. Of course, it's a play on words, you know. Satan is spelled S-A-Y, and then the number 10, 1 and a 0. But I guess it's kind of like, I don't know if, like, to me it seems like he decided to do it that way, not so much because he wanted to fool people or like appease the censors or whoever. I think it's just more like he wanted to make people think about it, and which I'm surprised I've actually come across other reviews of this album, other people who they weren't even really aware that say 10, S-A-Y, and the number 10, like they actually weren't aware that it was a play on any kind of word. And it wasn't until, I guess, that somebody pointed it out to them, then they realized. But yeah, I always like that, whether it's in a song or you know, a book or any other kind of art. I always like when people, you know, do different things with words and, you know, mix them around and, you know, just play around with the spelling of certain words, and then so that they mimic other words or sound like other words. And yeah, I've always personally liked that. So yeah, overall, I would say I give this album 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. I will say, like, musically, there wasn't really any one part that stood out to me. I mean, yeah, I like the guitar work on Threats of Romance. I also like some of the guitar stuff on maybe 2 or 3 of the other songs. And the drums are solid. Bass lines are solid. From what I could hear of the bass. Maybe I just wasn't paying too much attention to the bass. But I don't know. To me, I kind of feel like this album is much more, like, there's more of a focus on the lyrical content. Not really like more than any of his other albums, but just like, yeah, I don't know, because for a lot of the songs, it seems to me like Marilyn Manson, like, kind of, I don't know if he did it intentionally. To me, it seems like he did it intentionally when writing the lyrics. Kind of like he made sure that the lyrics didn't come off too one-sided. I mean, not for all the songs, but for a good portion of the songs on this album. Yeah. But then, you know, he could have just done it accidentally, like, not really thinking about it. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's one of the things that I've always liked about Marilyn Manson is his lyrics. I've always believed him to be a pretty awesome writer and lyricist, and so yeah. As far as an overall interpretation of this album, like its meaning or whatever, I've come across different people trying to interpret it in a bunch of different ways. But as always, usually with albums or any other kind of art, it's always open to interpretation. For me, I just kind of like go based on the title usually. So for this album, Heaven Upside Down, I don't know, I just kind of like, I interpret it as like, I suppose, like Marilyn Manson, it's like his way of trying to get across to people that he believes that most of society, most of the time, we dwell within chaos, we live within chaos, but are not completely aware of it. And sometimes, we mistake that chaos for heaven or something close to heaven-like. But that's just, I'm not saying that I know that to be fact. That's just my own interpretation of what I believe is just one of many messages that Marilyn Manson is trying to get across. So, that pretty much does it for this album review. Do I believe this is one of his best albums? I don't know. I'm not so sure. But I do believe it's a pretty good album. So, Once again, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. And thanks for watching. As always, till next time, don't forget, keep it real, keep on rocking, and peace.